Hi, family and friends. This is Sean. A lot of y'all already know who I am. Some of you are not familiar with me, but in any case, I wanted to take the time to finally come out of the little hole that I've been in. I disappeared for like 6 months, and people have been kind of wondering where I'm at, either in silence or they vocally are asking what's going on with me, what's going on with our group, especially people that I knew from my ministry days, my pastor days. So I just want to take the time to kind of let anybody in on what's going on in my life if they haven't already heard. And yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Disclaimer, this video might be a little bit of anywhere, pretty scatterbrained, because it's an emotional topic for me, and this is the first time doing this publicly. But yeah, I'm gay, and I've kind of been that way since puberty hit me at age 13. And you know, ever since I was a kid, I I absolutely did not want to be gay. I wanted to be attracted to men. I wanted to fit in with the rest of the people that were around me. I mean, even just the first time I discovered I had those attractions, I promised myself I would never tell anybody, and I promised myself that I would do whatever it took to not be that way. I grew up in a religious setting, so my logic was that God would deliver me from this sin, or God would somehow make me straight. And I believed that for most of my life, actually, and tried to choose to be straight since I can remember. And I think now at this point in time, I've discovered that it is not an option for me to choose my sexual orientation. I know this is kind of discouraging for a lot of people. A lot of people I had real good standing with, and they've heard about some of this, and I don't even talk to them no more. They kind of are standoffish, and of course I'm feeling that energy and kind of not wanting to engage either, because it's just such a weird place to be in for me. I guess the way I can explain it is, for me, there was always I guess everybody has it, this expectation on your life to be something and to go somewhere, and just everybody's expectation of what makes a great brother, sister, son. And I just knew that if I ever ended up really actually being gay, then those expectations would be shattered, and that I could never live up to that. And as I got older, I guess I realized that I could never live up to that anyway, because I could never change my attractions, even though I wasn't, sleeping around or, having sex on the low or something like that. I still did not have any romantic interest in women at all, and I couldn't get to a point where I would have that. And so I just want to tell everybody how I arrived to the conclusion that I'm going to live my life as a gay male and as one that is still a Christian and still loves God and still practices following Jesus. For most of my religious folks that are concerned and some of the people that have just started following my story, I just want to maybe give an encouragement and to others give at least a backstory about what's happening. So you guys know that, I had left Colorado, where I'm from, after graduating college and wanted to go ahead and pursue a life of ministry with some of my friends. And that did happen. Here we are in this new church plant thing going on. We're doing all this stuff, and honestly, ministry was actually really successful. And that's what kind of scared me about it, is that I had all this ministry success going on, and right in the middle of it, there's a big conflict. People are just getting older, they're figuring out what they're doing, and our team begins to break up. Even though we've done all these amazing things, we were like on the cusp, I'm sure, of starting the church. From a church plant. We were, just to give you kind of an example, we had about 3 groups. I was leading it all. I was a pastor at a local church. I was on the lead pastoral team of the church as the young adults pastor there. And honestly, I was moving probably, more people into the church than most anybody that was there. But as I begin to get deeper into ministry, I begin to realize that I need to really take a deep account of where I was at, period. Like, if I'm leading other people and I'm telling other people where to go and I don't even know where I'm going myself, then that's a problem. Especially when you're in a position where you're actually beginning to have responsibility and people are really trusting you with their lives, which was the first time that I experienced that. And if I wish I could just take you guys back through my life and really show you how many times I have been in a position where I was just on my knees praying or crying about these attractions and asking God to take them away, praying, pleading with God to take them away, and nothing really happening. And this cycle going on over and over and over and over again for a decade at least. And there was always, ever since I fully committed my life to God, there was always kind of at least a couple of people in each church that I told about this that would try to really see me through the struggle, quote unquote, of being gay. And they would of course approach it like any other sin, and they would try to pray, and I would of course be there. I would submit. I would sit through sessions of people trying to cast the demon of homosexuality out of me. I would get counseling over and over and over again on these issues from pastors, from lead pastors, from several people. And I convinced myself at that point in time that I was actually getting somewhere, knowing good and well that I wasn't getting anywhere and that nothing was happening. And as I begin to go through that, I'm gonna just be real with y'all. I begin to realize the stuff that I believed was BS. I begin to realize that, you know, all of these ways that the church says it works, and the church is supposed to work, and the love that you're supposed to find in the church, and the love that the church is supposed to give out, it was like each church that I worked at and was a part of or was really involved in, none of them actually had that thing that they said they were about. And on top of that, when you followed what the church was saying, or in our tradition, in the tradition of charismatic churches, it's always the charismatic leader that we're following. So for us, you know, it was, you know, I don't even want to say the name, but I will just keep it real. You know, for us, it was like this Bill Johnson guy. You know, we follow what he was saying, and, you know, we read his books, and, you know, that would be the lens with which we interpreted our faith through, and the lens which we interpreted the Bible through. And honestly, it's like that. It was like that with me, but it was just like that in our world, period. It was like that with and it's still like that with pretty much everybody that I know. But for me, that couldn't get me there, because I couldn't stay in the status quo with knowing that I was attracted to guys. I couldn't just brush it off, and now I'm thankful that I couldn't brush it off, because it would have led me to less of a truth than I stand in now. And so anyway, getting on with the story, I was doing good in ministry. I actually just got after our little youth team broke up, our young adults team / youth team broke up. Right after that, I was actually offered a job again at a church that was, you know, offering a lot better, a better position and a better path, seemingly, of growth for me. And it was a church that I was connected with through the church that I was working with at the time, and they just seemed to be going the way that my life would have gone at that time. And, you know, I had to really just stop, because it wasn't about the sexuality as much as it was about, this is contradicting what I believe in God, and it's not real if it doesn't happen. It's not real if I can't approach God in these types of ways and get the result that I'm supposed to get according to a literal translation of the Bible, or according to whatever interpretation that we had at that point in time. And, you know, me, I've always been, and for you guys that really, really know me, you know I've always been super real. You know that the thing that irks me the most about life, period, is when things are fake, or when people just go along with things just to keep their life comfortable, or keep others comfortable, or please others. You know, and it got to the point where I was just like, you know, I think it's really easy for me not to please others, because, you know, I just don't stand for that. But it was really hard for me not to, like, for me to say, okay, I'm gonna get uncomfortable and I'm gonna displease myself with the fact that my interpretation and my experience and what the church has taught me and all of my knowledge and certitudes might be actually bullshit, to be real. To say that in a real way. And, you know, I was just fed up with it. And I was just like, you know, if this is if this is what church is, if church is just a bunch of hype, and it's just a bunch of people that say they love others but can't love others because of just how they interpret the scripture, or how who's in the in group and in the out group. We all know how that is in church. Pretty much everybody has like every church has like this set of rules that are, I won't even say rules because people don't like that, but they have this set theology that if you don't fit into that, then you're immediately kind of disowned, and your people operate at a distance from you if you don't believe their theology. And I'll be honest, like the people that I came out to first, my family members being like all of my family members, and I when I say all, I mean all of my family members have distanced themselves from me. Like, and this was before I even came out as gay, or before I even decided that it was actually okay to be gay for me. Or not even decided it, but just heard it from faith and decided that I would believe that. Before that even happened, the further I got away from the theology of my family members, the people that I was closest to, the further I got away from that theology of whatever church that they were going to, whatever charismatic leader they were following, the more I was distanced from them. The more and more I was distanced from them. And I would get calls like, hey, yo, I heard you were going through a rough time in ministry. You should come down here and come to our training school. I'm willing to pay for you to stay here so you go through the training school. Then you could be essentially saying, like, go to our indoctrination of our theology, and then we can roll again. We can be brothers again. We can be family again. We can be whatever it was again. And it's crazy to think, if just to get off track for a little bit, but I used to have such a good relationship with my brother. Like, my brother used to be my best friend, and ever since there's something that I actually just will cry about right now, but ever since religion has entered the picture, even before my veering off the theologically correct path, even before that, like when I first got introduced to religion by my brother, that has been a point of separation for us since then. And it has only literally gotten worse. And better at times, but we have just gotten way more distant over time, to the point where, I don't even know, like, I don't even know if that's really like family, because what are we saying? Where are we defining as family? I have a lot of people in my life that, didn't decide to distance themselves after theological differences. But anyway, getting back on point, I got to that point after I was in ministry, after I was a pastor. I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And long story short, without getting into it, I got a mentor, because that's what you're supposed to do if you're a Christian pastor and you're feeling the burnout. And so I got a mentor that had been in ministry for like 30 years, and I had a lot of successful church ventures. And he told me, Sean, you are working, you haven't received grace yet, and you need to learn how to just be. And I'll never forget, he took me through the Beatitudes, and he explained them as the attitudes of being, the attitudes of just receiving this grace that we all stand in. And I had heard that a lot of times But I don't know if I ever had received that grace for myself because I was attracted to men. Like maybe I would receive 60% of it, 70% of it, but after 70%, I don't know. Because you are still one of the worst kind of sinners. You have some of the worst sin in your heart. Even if I would divorce myself from it and say this term that we all love to say, hate the sin, not the sinner, and you're taught to hate the sin within yourself, not to hate yourself. But when it's something like being gay, when it's something like a sexual attraction, when it's something that's like so built into you as a person, and I'm sure you guys won't understand that from my perspective, but when that something is a part of you and it really is who you are, hating the sin is like hating yourself, because you know that is a part of yourself. It's so hard to describe. Like it's everybody thinks like being gay is like this super perverse, like, oh, it's just super lustful, and everything's about like who somebody wants to have sex with, and like that is so far from the truth. Like there are 40-year-old men that I know that are literally choosing to be completely abstinent because of their sexuality. It has nothing to do with lust. It has everything to do with just how you are and how you're created. I mean, it's not just a sexual connection when you are attracted to whatever your sexual orientation is. It's also a romantic situation. Girls could never mean what guys can mean to me because of how my brain is just wired. And I guess the helpful thing that is kind of helpful, if people are actually open to hearing it, it's just like asking a straight guy to be attracted to another guy, or to be romantically, like, he's never gonna think that's romantically a thing. He's never gonna think that's sexually a thing, because straight people can't just turn gay. And that's a cliche, but it's true. And a lot of people don't think about that in a real way, because they think that people like me are like got sucked into the world and that's how they turned gay, and like they're possessed by a gay demon or something. It's quite ridiculous. But getting back to the story, when that pastor gave me that word of advice, I really took it seriously. And I said, okay, you want me to rest? I'm going to rest from everything. I'm going to rest from my works. I'm going to rest from everything. And at the end of the day, what I found out that I needed to rest from was trying to be straight. I was trying to do something so unnatural that it was actually impossible. Like, what was natural, what was being myself, what came natural if I didn't try and just let God be God, was me being attracted to guys. That was the most natural thing that's probably one of the most natural things that has ever happened to me, period. And of course, right now I know people are scoffing and they're like, like either shaking their head like he's so deceived, or they're just simply like, you're lying. But hey, I don't care. It's true. So there you go. And the minute I did that was the minute that my life changed. I honestly felt at that moment that like a veil was lifted off and I had seen the truth for the first time. Like, the church was telling me some bullshit. It was telling me some controlling thing that maybe they didn't even realize was going on. This was some kind of system that was built off of hype and taking a bunch of people's insecurities and saying, hey, this is how you get to God. This is how you get your hope. This is how you get your love. And giving them this pathway where it's like, you know, you can almost make it there. Like the stairs in Mario 64. Like, you're just going up the stairs and there's an ending somewhere. And at the end of the day, there's no ending to the amount of stairs that you have to climb to get to that place where these charismatic leaders have told us that we're going to get when we have faith, when we do X, and then you'll get here. Be X and you'll get there. And do this and you'll change the world, and be this, and you know, the list goes on and on and on and on. And it's like you move forward, but you never really get to experience God like you're promised you will. And so I began to rethink God completely. And you know, I tore everything away from how I thought about God. And there was only two things that I really held on to in that time. And the two things were love and honesty. I found out that I could not really have truth or obtain truth because nobody knows in everything. Nobody is, you know, all knowledgeable. And all I could do was be honest. Maybe I didn't know if being gay was right or was wrong or whatever for sure, but all I knew is that I could be honest, and I could say, hey, look, I don't think this is wrong. I don't have a conviction to believe that this is wrong anymore. And furthermore, this is me being honest with myself. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to be something that I'm not. I'm not going to try to change something that I've tried to change for over a decade anymore. I'm just going to kind of now live into it and see how that goes. And, you know, life just started working after that. Life started making a lot of sense. God started making a lot of sense. All the tensions that I felt with God began to find some resolution. And not in some way where it's like, let me trade one certitude and one belief system for another belief system. It was more like, oh, wait a minute. This is a mystery. God is a mystery. God is not something that we need to be certain about at all. Faith, that's the definition of faith, is to not be certain. Is to not know, but to stand in this trust and confidence that God really is good and He really is love. And those are the things that have kind of guided me. And I just want to make this video because a lot of people probably feel like, oh, Sean's gay because this happened to him when he was a kid. I had a pretty normal childhood, especially compared to my brothers who had the same childhood as me and did not turn out gay. You know, wasn't in a situation where I ever got molested. I wasn't, you know, like in any kind of crazy situations that caused me to be gay. Like, you know, pretty much when I look around my neighborhood, I see a whole bunch of people like me, and, you know, a couple of them are gay, you know. And, you know, just on a side note, everybody that I've met in my Christian journey that did struggle with same-sex attractions has really never made any progress towards being different, being straight, being like the sexual orientation that they had, that they quote-unquote struggle with, is the same sexual orientation that they have now. And some of them have dealt with it in different ways, but when the doors are closed, when there's no pressure to act, when there's no pressure, when people break down and you get the real story, you find out that, oh, wait a minute, these people that are a sexual minority are still a sexual minority. And a lot of those people are people that would tell you that they've been delivered, or people that would tell you that they made a big step further and everything's getting better. And I was actually one of those people at one point in time. It's getting better, it's getting better. And I think the video just cut off, but anyway, like I was saying, that's part of this whole thing of people just lying to yourself, because you feel like the minute you give up your faith is the minute that you're going to lose that deliverance that you could have had, that change in your sexual orientation that you couldn't have. And once again, it's that endless stairway. But I want you guys to understand, all in all, that this was a faith decision. This was literally a decision that came out of faith. This was a decision that came out of my belief in God. My faith in God was the cornerstone of why I chose to be gay. Like, I got to a point to where I was like, okay, God, I believe you're in your love enough to not feel like I'm going to go to hell if I question things that I've been taught about you. Even if I question the things that people said never question and never do and never live. I questioned those things because I got to a place of faith. Like, I knew God wasn't going to let me be gay if it was going to lead to my destruction. I knew God wasn't going to let me do this, that, and the other thing if it was going to lead to my destruction. And that's not everybody's coming out story. This is a Christian's coming out story. This is my story. And so I just wanted to just put that out there, give you guys an explanation. This explanation was probably like everywhere, and it's super long, and so I hope you guys watch it. If I deleted you, that's just because I needed space. You can add me back on Facebook, and I will add you back on Facebook. Don't come to me with no stupid shit. Please, excuse my language, but for real, don't come to me with no stupid stuff. Because then I'll just delete you again. I don't got time for it. I'm too old. And I'm, not happy with, people hitting me with religious texts and telling me to come back to Jesus and telling me to, do all this stuff that they just need to convince themselves that it's true for them. So they're trying to convince me that it's true to me. And I'm just not down with all that, so you can just miss me with all that. I'm a trip though. I'm a trip for saying that. I know. But anyway, I'm also gonna do like a video blog for all of y'all people that have started following us, and all the people where our story, me and Kyle's story, has helped y'all. I also want to go over like how me and Kyle ended up together. Obviously, I'm a married man, happily married, by the way. Couldn't have asked for a better marriage. Couldn't have asked for a better partner in life. And my new church, my new beliefs, all that stuff. I want to do that in future videos. But this is the first, which is just an update. I think Kyle's gonna also do a video about his whole story, about how he ended up coming to terms with his sexual orientation. And so y'all hear that in the future. I'm sleepy. I keep on looking at the time if you're wondering what I was looking at. And, well, love you. And good night, people.